Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
You're about to Cobra Kai Karate. Welcome back to Brandon Video. Today we're here to review Superman Legacy, the brand new movie. And yeah, quite a bit to talk about. Sorry I'm a little bit late to this. I watched it a little later than actual release date. And also sorry that I'm holding the microphone like this. Damn thing broke, so that's why I'm holding it like this. But it's what it is. Today we're going to talk about it. And you know, this movie was hyped up to be before and now that it has released, it has been hyped up to be the movie of the year. Phenomenal movie, best Superman potentially. And my expectations for this movie was this would be my closest bet to be the movie of the year, considering there wasn't a lot of movies. Now, I didn't really know too much about Sinners, and Sinners was a really good movie, so that came out of nowhere to me. So I do think that was the movie of the year and still is. So when I watched this movie, my expectations were there. When I saw the trailer and I saw everything, I did think they were playing too much on the goofy side. That was my concern. I know James Gunn kind of have done that kind of in the past with Guardians of the Galaxy, but he did kind of balance it a little bit more. But in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and a little bit in Volume 3, he does really mix up the funny moments a little too much. So that was my concern of Superman, especially with the super crypto dog and everything. So I went in this movie expecting, not knowing to expect, and then there's a whole lot of drama with this movie. First off, the Zack Snyder versus the James Gunn fans. There's a huge rival there. I made my opinion on that. Henry Cavill was literally made to be Superman. He was a perfect actor. I don't think you should change it. Yes, he got handed a bad script for most of his movies, but that should not be his fault. And I really like the idea of the Dark Superman, even though I'm not going to argue that it is a comic accurate Superman. I still think that Superman was a more compelling character than the comic book accurate Superman, which is Superman. So that was basically my ideas. And then there was a couple stuff about politics, that there's some politics involved about immigration or whatnot. You know, number one, Superman is an immigrant, so that makes zero sense. And number two, I watched the movie and I don't think they even mentioned it once, so I don't know what that came out of. People just make everything political nowadays. If that's your concern going to this movie, don't even bother, because the movie's not for you. Anyway, well, it is for you. You just don't really deserve it because you're going into it with a mindset that's not right. But anyway, I watched this movie and honestly, I do think it's just all right. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's not exactly what people are making it out to be. I'm not going to be on the one side of the fence where I think it's terrible, overrated completely. I don't think it's that at all. So I'm going to get into the good stuff I liked about this movie, and then we'll go to the negatives. And then I'll kind of just balance it all at the end and give my full score and rating on it. So starting with the good, what you can expect from this movie is exactly what is promoted. This movie is, first off, very comic accurate. It feels like a straight out of comic movie. It's very big, it's very cinematic. The front value of this movie of what you expect is exactly what you get. The front value, the big Superman, the symbol of hope, the idea of him being, you know, the symbol of hope is exactly what you get in this movie. In huge fight scenes, huge stuff, a great theme song, and I gotta say, my favorite thing about this movie was the cinematography. The shots they captured was really, really good. The lighting, the shots, and I really appreciate superhero movies do that. We hardly see it now. Everything's so plain and generic. They really don't even explore that stuff. We saw it so well. Best cinematography I've seen in superhero films since Batman 2022. So that stuff was at its best, and like I said, the theme song was amazing. They used it very, very well, and I think as far as the acting goes with the main character, he was very charismatic, very fun to watch on screen, and the fight scenes and everything that is big, you get that, and I think that's what you really need in Superman, and especially starting this new universe. So all that stuff is what you get, the front value, all that stuff, but unfortunately, that's really all it is. That's all there is in this movie, is the front value. That's it. You don't actually get anything deep. They don't actually explore anything. And my biggest problem with this movie is, when you go into a movie, you start somewhere and you end somewhere, and you get arcs of characters that lead somewhere to a conclusion. This movie doesn't really feel like that. This movie feels like a big trailer for something else. Or a better example would be, it seems like Superman 2. It feels like you get put in this universe, an already established universe, and already established characters. You don't get to see the origin. And I understand that people say, we don't got to see the origin again. We've seen it so many times. But when it's the first movie, and Lois already knows that he is Superman. This universe has already kind of had villains and superhero stuff for a long time. It's in every character feels like their arc is already ended. Like Superman, Clint Clark doesn't really change who he is in this movie from beginning to end. He got tested his him as a person, but he doesn't change. Same with Lois, same with everyone else in this movie. No one actually has a start to finish arc. It feels like an already established universe, but this is the first one. So when you're watching it, it really is frustrating when you're trying to get that stuff, and they don't actually dive deep into a lot of stuff they really could have dived deep into, about Clint Clark trying to live his double life, of him trying to be the symbol of hope when he, and one thing I did like that they did explore, which some people might not like, is that he shows more man than super in this movie, because he does have the moments where he feels anxiety, where he feels, fear, and he fears these things, but he fights through it. That's what makes him more relatable, rather than being the big Superman that is, invincible and incredible and nothing can stop him. I like that they show that aspect, but they don't actually go deep into it to a point where you're actually exploring and seeing the character rise and fall. He just seems to be in a vague, shallow place the whole entire movie as a character. That's with everyone else. And as far as the side characters go, none of them were interesting. Lois wasn't really that interesting. All the news guys were so generic. They're ripped right out of like a cartoon. Everyone, and even Lex Luthor, I thought he was a cool villain, but you could have gave him a backstory that seemed more interesting. He just seems like, I'm mad and I'm gonna do stuff because I'm mad. It just doesn't really feel like I said, it feels like a second movie to a movie I haven't seen. And that is not even my number one main problem. That is more of the borderline issue. The real problem is it just plays the humor way too much. It's like to a point where it's, first off, the crypto dog. I know a lot of people might like this. I'm saying it's funny. I didn't find it funny one time. They replay the same joke of him grabbing and ripping stuff to shreds and not listening 80 million times, and it ruins multiple scenes, like that Lex Luthor scene where he's looking at him and looking him straight in the face, and he just stood up against him and he just beat him. The whole entire tension has been building the entire movie, and it gets ruined by a joke by the super dog. And it's just like, really, and that's not in the main of it. Like everything, he's always doing something. When they're in that universe and the babies probably could have died and everything's going to shreds and Superman's trying his best to save him, Superdog comes in and starts attacking, and he's like, no, stop, no, don't do that, don't lick the baby. Like, dude. And if they at least try to do different jokes, it could have been funny, but they do the same joke every time. So that's just ruined the momentum. It ruined the envision. And the one scene that I really didn't like was when, two things. First off, what was it called? The Green Lantern guys. I forgot what their name was. Those characters really were just there for comedic relief, and it really wasn't a relief. It was more of a suffer, because I don't want to see that stuff. But when the kid lifts up the Superman stuff and he's over there trying his best, instead of having Superman fight through his end and fight through tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears to give it all and go down there and save them, they have those guys go and save them in a stupid comedy way, like the middle finger stuff, and it's just like, oh, Superman's not here, you get the upgraded version. It's like, why not have Doomsday brought down on the earth? Why not have Lex Luthor have him 99-1 odds? And why not have all the people taken down where Superman's the last one standing, and that hope symbol is like he's praying to him almost, and he comes down there tooth and nails and fights and wins? No, they do a joke. And when he has when they're having that awesome fight with the clone of him, guess what happens there? Superdog saves him. That's how that ends. He saves him. Superdog, yeah, dude. Anyway, that's mainly my main issues with it. The comedic is way too much. It feels like you're set in somewhere, a universe that you already know, but you don't. And it just seems really inconsistent with a lot of stuff that they're trying to do. All the side characters are not interesting. And it concludes in a way which does feel good, but it also feels incomplete at the same time. So that's basically my review. I think it's not a bad movie. I also want to classify it as a good or great movie. I think it's more in the middle. I would say it's more closer to being good than it is to being bad or mid, but that's still not a spot that it should be. So with that being said, it's just an alright movie, and I'm going to give this a 7.4 out of 10. I would not make this the movie of the year. I would still take Sinners over it. I would still take Thunderbolts over it even too. It wasn't as good as Action, and it was a bit more boring, but that movie had a lot more deeper depth than just front value flashiness. And I would also take F1 over it as well. So that's basically my opinion on it. As you guys saw my graph right there of my cinematography, theme, and acting, everything that was there. So that's basically about it. Yeah, so, and one other thing I'll say, the dialogue was way onto the nose. There wasn't any actually deep dialogue, but that's fine. It's a Superman movie. I don't expect that. But that is my review. I wouldn't say it's a negative review, but it is a bit of a disappointment for what I was expecting and what the fans and media and everyone's saying this movie is, it just wasn't there for me. If this movie was hated, like I was just, if the popular opinion was how Zack Snyder's fans were feeling, I would come on here and defend this for 10 straight minutes as I am, but that is not the public opinion. So unfortunately, I'm a bit more disappointed than happy, but I still enjoyed the movie. It was a great theater experience, and I recommend you guys to watch it for your own. Well, obviously you guys definitely have, you're watching my review, but whatever. Anyway, that's my opinion on the Superman movie. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Give me your 1 out of 10. And yeah, tonight I will have my network and I'll talk about it on there. For spoilers for the first couple minutes you have not seen it, you guys can still join after when I'm done. I'll put a big banner up so you guys know when I'm talking about it. But anyway, there's my video. See you guys next time. All network extreme measures. Peace out.